personally, is the most important game in a best-of-5 set. But
that's crazy.
Yeah.
We've seen one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of the most important games?
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have, if it's valuable, if the tension is high, it's important, you don't necessarily get it all the time.
Super capitalist take, but sure.
Jade Dragons, they come back with a similar comp, I feel like. They bring back the Freya, they bring back the Aphrodite, they bring back the Amaterasu. Couple of different picks in the last 2 of the draft. Artez goes to the signature pick in the AMC. Highland Ravens, though, they grab a little bit more aggression. And for all of the passiveness that we saw maybe in game number 1, I'm ready for game number 2 to be an arena match.
Yeah, I'm really interested in particular in that Pele versus AMC matchup. Feels like it could go one of 2 ways. Either AMC gets lead early and just one-shots Pele anytime she tries to do anything, or Pele gets lead early and does the exact same thing, but more frequently because it's easier for her to initiate. So I'll be keeping my eyes on that one. Feels like there's a lot of volatility towards the center of the map, largely dictated, of course, and again, as always, by jungle presence. We'll see whether or not Screamer Lasbra makes rotation first. I do think, though, the Jade Dragons this time around have an easier time in that mid game. Once Lasbra takes over to level 5, I mean, good luck to any beads that the Highland Ravens have got themselves, whereas the Highland Ravens, it's essentially Haddix and Hurrywin, and there's your beads burn. And here's the thing about Haddix. He's in the solo lane. He was frequently in the duo lane last game, but we'll see if he tries to keep that up here.
We'll see if he finds the early teleport upgrade like he did in game number 1. Might be harder to do so if he gets ganked early on, though, in Lasbra, he's gearing up for. Instead, he'll just find the cooldown buff onto the right-hand side. Lasbra looking for a little bit of farm. And I'm surprised we don't see either jungler rotating over to that left-hand side. This left-hand side was a big focus in game number 1, just in terms of pressure, right? No huge fights over here, but we've talked endlessly now, it feels like, about the Freya-Olo run matchup in particular. But if the supports never leave, it's just a 2v2. I'm interested. Mike wants to be more. Mike got War Flag. Man.
He wants to be there, and he wants to fight. He wants to be able to sustain, I suppose, and sustain certainly the name of the game over there in the duo as of now. That said, though, it's going to be a little while till they find pressure. The exact same issues they ran into on the Jade Dragons in game 1, they'll be butting up against here in game 2. I imagine we see a good deal of purple buff invades. The Highland Ravens really should have a lot of pressure to play with here on side lanes, just by nature of Pele mid. Nika maybe could have been in a bit of danger had any of the CC connected, but it does not. Had it slightly off the mark, and so Nika gonna escape barely there. I mean, Blink expended for Scream, so his efficacy on gank takes a significant hit as well. But we're pre-5, and once you tick over to 5, I think second round of ganks certainly do.
Erwin trying to make some pressure over onto that left-hand side towards this purple buff, but I think similar to game number 1, we might be in for a slow one in the game, the early stages here of this one. Lasbra trying to take advantage of that, though. A little bit of a cheeky speed buff invade at 3 minutes. And frankly, if what I've heard from my junglers in my ranked games is correct, is to be believed, that's a game loser right there.
I mean, it's certainly a mental breaker. Doesn't feel good to have that speed buff taken. As a jungler, I can attest to a few F6 votes that maybe weren't necessary, but certainly thrown up by me. It's like the hardest thing to invade in Smite. Legitimately, is the hardest thing to steal. It might be easier to steal Fire Giant legitimately, so good on Lasbra to find that opportunity. Unfortunately for Scream, he'll just be grabbing some neutral farm in the meanwhile. You won't see the advantage of an invade until Lasbra actually clears out his own jungle because of how farm works. Stealing it away, worth a little bit less than clearing out your own. So we'll see. Scream is significantly ahead in experience as it stands, though. Lasbra just now taking over to level 5. Scream comfortably at 6.
Now this mid matchup, I mean, you talked about it as interesting, potentially volatile. We saw one that was the farthest thing from volatile in game number 1, where Ven really only farmed for the first 20 minutes of the game, and sure enough, beat the clock and hit level 20 before the 20-minute mark in the game. Pele feels almost like a god that, like, if you are level 20 by 20 minutes on Pele, and you don't have like at least 5 kills, like you're not getting in there, you're almost wasting that farm prize.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in the early to early mid game for Pele to just leverage her hyper aggression for early kills and not have to trade out 1-for-1. Whereas late game, hyper late game Pele, she's gonna get her kills. She's gonna get hers no matter what, right? Her damage output just happens that quickly. But the likelihood of you surviving after Volcanic Lightning is used, much lower at that portion of the game. So we'll see. I imagine we see some rotations soon. I mean, even Haddix could just shift his attention away from the dual lane like we saw in Game 1 and instead try and make it difficult to exist as Dardes, and things could go well. Dardes doesn't like to pick up Aegis in first slot, so damage immunity there, but if the CC's there, I'm thinking his life forfeit.
Herwin has been a victim in the past, I think, of this maybe a little bit too much aggression and too on his own. We've seen him in a couple purple buffs already this game, and knowing that he does not have beads, and in fact 3 rather out of 5 players on the Ravens, no beads here on this right-hand side, but Herwin were the only one of those without a CC immune ultimate. If they try to keep the supports over there, try to look for a little bit of pressure, I mean, it might be the Jade Dragons that look to force the fight first. Lasbra comes over with the ultimate, they take advantage of the no CC, they might be the ones on the front foot, but still waiting to scale an item or 2 online.
I don't know. I feel like even now, if Lasbra pulls in Hurry, Vote with Hastened Ring should be able to secure that kill just on his own in damage, not even taking into account that Mike, for the most part, has been there as well. So certainly a major target. I would love to see aggression from the Jade Dragons onto the Atlas. I think it's a great call out by you. Otherwise, where do the Highland Ravens put their pressure? Do they have any easy targets? It's almost always AMC when AMC exists, but we're 6.5 minutes in the game, and I'm not sure that Dardes has taken any player damage from non-NPCs just yet. So we'll see.
Wow.
There's the power spike.
Oh my goodness, that man taking a lot of poke there. But the rotation is here. The Highland Ravens, they recognize it, and you lose a safety tool, and the punish is looking to come through instantly. Venenu finds his way into the mid tower, but they need a little bit more damage, and Venenu finds first blood once again here in Game 2.
Overcommitment there from Vote. Once the first 2 shots of Valkyrie's Discretion are missed, you have 0% odds at getting your kill, and significant odds at losing your own life. So no beads on next rotation, no Valkyrie's Discretion either. Highland Ravens almost in position. I'm holding my breath where they could have potentially caught Vote on rotation a lane. Would have been a great play to keep that Freya down. Instead, reset back to neutral. Can't leave all that farm available for too long. So mid camps will go over to the Ravens as well. First blood stricken, or struck. Struck? Stricken. Striked?
I like Stracked because we have Sprack in the game.
Yeah, but what is Merriam-Webster like?
Oh, I don't.
Me either. And that's bothering me. First blood struck by the Highland Ravens.
I like Struck.
Yeah, Struck seems good.
That sounds right.
It feels good.
I think Stricken is also a word, though.
It is, but that's like you've been stricken by disease.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you could be stricken by,
I sure hope
damage.
not. I don't want to get struck at all.
Struck certainly feels like the right one. Regardless of the tense that it's in, I think Vote's feeling the hit. Certainly feeling the damage.
Yeah, but all that to say, in fewer words, Vote got owned. Like, he certainly died there.
Yes, Vote certainly died. And Vote, I mean, sitting up at the top of the charts, 100% of his team's depth at this point in the game. You're really looking for the ADC to clean that up.
Yeah, fortunately for Vote, he'll scale well into the late game regardless. Gonna in a bit of trouble, should be just fine. Vampiric Bat's off the mark, means no slow, means no chase potential. Lasbra though.
Gotta hit these. This is all 3. Doesn't pull anybody in, and Lasbra's still looking for the fight after the fact. Venenu is the one to turn it around though, and he might get 2! A double kill for the mid laner and a killing spree right before the shutdown. But now Haddix has joined the fray, and Vote has to channel the ultimate, needs 1 hit onto Perwin, but does not have the damage. Nika might chase this one down and needs a little bit more to get the kill. Dude, how does Herwin live? Not only does Herwin live, but a 3-for-1 in total, and add the Gold Fury to the tally. The Highland Ravens punish the fight.
But you thinking maybe that goes a little different if Lasbra pulls someone? You think
maybe? Yeah.
You think maybe if that starts off just a little bit better, that the Jade Dragons fight actually goes well? They even had numbers advantage. Nika makes rotation so early into that engagement. I mean, it's not as explosive an entrance as Haddix has with his multi-man dunk, but that is a miserable start to an engagement for the Jade Dragons. The Highland Ravens punish game clearly there. Ven gets infinite value on the Pele. Soul Eater certainly paying for itself with the lifesteal acquired there. And even Zapman, the Sanctified Field timing, although it doesn't really help out in killing anyone, does peel out for Hurry, who's able to juke out 2 more shots at that Valkyrie's discretion. It's an interesting interaction. Both really struggling to land those shots in the time dilation.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you just completely throws off your geometry when you're trying to hit a pool shot, and you know nobody wants this. It doesn't require any geometry though. You just got to be right up barrel stuffing Zapman.
Even then though, it's like so slow. He could like, I think it's reactable. It looked reactable how Hurry was dodging it.
Oh, you mean okay? Yeah, fair if he wants to react to a Lasbra. Punishes Zapman on the left side. We really should be giving that a little bit more focus considering it's 10 minutes in. We've had 6 kills at this point, so a little bit faster paced. The Island Ravens certainly feeling some of the benefits of that, but despite leading in kills, despite leading in that Gold Fury grab, the Jade Dragons, I mean, they're keeping it close. Plus or minus 300 gold is nothing.
Yeah, not a massive disparity between either of these teams just yet. You'll see it more so reflected individually across the board, one level here or there for the Jade Dragons or Ravens. Maybe most significant lead on map is Lasbra. No justice in the world. You can whiff all the ultimate shots you want. He'll still have 2 level lead over Scream on the other side. And Scream's elected to go for a much slower build. Soul Eater in second slot. It's going to help out a whole lot in sustain. He's going to be able to stick around in the team fight just about indefinitely. But it's going to be a little while until he gets there, whereas Lasbra, having picked up Brawler's Beat Stick, already itemizing against Scream's build, but getting the full value of his item without having to rely on some stacks.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, the Brawler's Beat Stick, the second passive, it only procs if Lasbra actually pulls somebody, right? Like if they beads it, I don't think it, does it proc?
No, it's on hit.
Really? It's on?
I believe so.
Can you hover Brawlers for me?
Oh god, am I exposing myself? You got me so nervous now.
I don't know, man. Getting a kill? Oh, kill or assist. Dude, I thought it was hard CC.
Oh,
I'm exposing myself.
Nice. Phenomenal. You are so far removed from the truth, you actually made me question my own reality. Like, my heart's racing. You scared me.
I just want Runeforge. That's really what I want. I
You've
want
been talking about it a lot.
CC item. Jade Dragons, Highland Ravens, still at an even deficit here for both teams. And it's really on only that killer assist. But you're right, itemizing early on into the anti-heal, I think that's what you're looking for, into the Camazotz, into the Pele. And I think these fights, you still have the advantage if you're the Highland Ravens, despite the lack of gold advantage, maybe even lack of XP advantage. You certainly feel like you have the God advantage. The 2 assassins that you have give me a little bit more confidence in their ability to force a fight here around this next Gold Fury spawn.
Yeah, the dive potential going to be so significant. That dive potential focused on the left side of the map, though, probably the least effective place to put it. Self-banish for Freya. Beads Aegis, Undying Love, right? Gonna be so hard to actually work through all of that. Feels like if Mike's gonna hang out in the dual lane for the entire game, maybe put your pressure where he isn't. Dardes, not a free ride throughout the early. Has fallen down just the once, but that's pretty close considering he's an AMC and going for a double stack build. Very slow there in the itemization from the mid lane of the Dragons, but I think Bobby highlights it well on the desk. It's not exactly difficult for Dardes to sit on tower line, throw out Honey, and just keep the wave out.
A lot of pressure here around the Highland Ravens if they want to support something. And I think the onus is on them at this point in the game if they want. Everybody, as a matter, look at the map right now. Nobody is around this Gold Fury. If the Highland Ravens wanted to take it, that back from Venenu, they may have had an opportunity there. And it's just nobody's willing. And we saw this in the late stages of the game in game number 1. Nobody willing to try and force a fight, nobody willing to pick these things up. In the early stages, where even if you lose a fight, it doesn't feel like the end of the world, I would think that the Highland Ravens, especially after last game, would be trying harder to build themselves a more robust lead, given their composition.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Haddix make that rotation as often as we did in game 1. Vanish looks good, doesn't get a whole lot done there. And so without Thor there to initiate your fights, Hurry when not exactly as good at just walking up and finding those pools. It's so telegraphed when Atlas goes for his CC that it's largely avoidable, or there are answers built into the kits, the Jade Dragons. So Hurriwan's struggling there to get things started for his team. PBM's playing Aphrodite, so what's he going to get started ever? It's single man stun, just about, so it's really just about sustaining up his allies and playing around what they're capable of doing on their own. More of a, I would consider her an enhancer support as opposed to an initiator or even a dive style, so going to be a little bit more difficult for Mike to be the dictator of the pace of this game. And in that stalemate, why fight until the gold freeze back up? It is back up now, but actually pulling the objective itself, neither side's exactly got confirmation. Oh my god, run back my analysis from game 1. We're there again. I mean, you can't coin toss on objective because neither side's got really ability to dictate whether or not there is an advantage on that coin toss. So it's got to come down to PvP first. You got to find your pick. Both sides have really strong disengage. It's ugly and it's slow, but both teams really are doing the most that they can to find their opportunities. There aren't a lot of them.
Yeah. No, and that's, we saw it in game number 1. Both teams just willing to wait, and they both have the comps to do it. You're holding on for that sanctified field, beautiful engagement come the late game for the Ravens. You're holding on for still the crazy amount of disengage buttons that the Jade Dragons have. Granted, AMC may be a little bit easier to kill. I'll tell you what catches my eye. I love this item pickup from Hurriwan. That absolution interaction on the Daji, that's certainly a question mark there. Won't even get the chance to talk about it though, as Primal Fury gets picked up. The full commit is here from the Ravens, and they take the Primal Fury, but the fight after the fact, that might be a different story. Force the Volcanic Lightning for a disengage, but Venenu loses his life, and Hurriwan may be next on the chopping block. The pullback in from Lasbra, not good, but a 2 for Gold Fury. The Dragons find an answer.
Yeah, Haddix again just holding on to that teleport. Not overly interested in getting involved in the fight, so once more the Han Ravens given a little bit of data. Oh, if we start the objective, things don't look so good. That stalemate was feeling way better than having 2 in the grayscale. Objective sure goes down, but in the 2 trade, the Jade Dragons may have been able to continue that siege on left, would have completely equalized the advantage from the Gold Fury. Instead, you get 100 some odd gold to your advantage now. So the Han Ravens maybe slightly happier about it than they could be. Moot trade, I'd say.
Haddix under a little bit of pressure on this right-hand side, but it's the Dragons looking to force something, and it's the Fire Giant under their eye. 17 minutes in if they want to commit themselves to this one. And so far, it looks like they're all in. 20% gonna be on coin flip here if they want to take it, and they do secure the Fire Giant. But into the air goes Haddix, and look for the Ravens re-engage. It's a disengage instead. The Ravens just decide that they're not, the Dragons rather, they just decide that they want the Fire Giant, and they take it pre-18 minutes.
Yeah, the Dragons team fights, they're just finding the timing where the Highland Ravens are just not stacked up. They're not ready to defend. They're not 5 stacked. Previously on the Gold Fury, it's Haddix split pushing on the right-hand side. This time around, it's Zatman doing the same on the left, and the Jade Dragons see the opportunity and take it immediately, playing a little bit faster than the Highland Ravens on these objectives. I mean, it's all boils down to the Highland Ravens getting that Gold Fury first and being punished for pulling it, but at the end of the day, it's the Fire Giant, the biggest objective on map that really can dictate the pace of these games. We saw the Highland Ravens at the exact same position in game 1. They weren't quite able to leverage that Fire Giant into a solidified lead. Plenty of structures on the map for the Jade Dragons to do exactly that, but there are some slight weaknesses in composition that might slow them down. That lack of initiation, Lazra and Nika are going to have to pick that up if they want to take a fight under a tower, or even perhaps the lack of a standard hunter out of the dual lane. Freya not exactly the best in these situations at knocking down these structures, so you got to shift the onus a little bit more so towards the mid lane. Dardas hasn't exactly gone for an attack speed build, but having the stim from his hives should help out a bit. I'm looking at the grouping from the Jade Dragons. You got 1 on left, 1 on right, 3 in mid. No one exactly getting a whole lot done anywhere on that.
Yeah, once again, it's a split.
Oh, they want this. They want this chase.
Yeah, this chase could come through. We saw it, success from the Dragons in game number 1. This time, they burn the beads off his Scream, knock him down to half HP, take his ultimate as well. But the cutoff is simply not there in time. but a good punish, a good response from the Jade Dragons. Letting tier 1 down, little to no response, a little bit of poke there, but some ultimates down here for the Ravens. Nothing for Heroine, nothing for Scream, and everything available for the Dragons if they want to push in this next wave.
Lasbra dropped low, heads up into the Palau, forces the beads off of Ven. Also got Volcanic Lightning just earlier. Nika keeping up the fight.
Oh my goodness, Venenu gets caught up against the wall, and Nika grabs the last hit, but both forced into the Valkyrie's discretion, has to run away, and Haddix, he's looking for the target and finds it!
Wow.
On Devote, the 1-for-1 trade, and the Ravens are fighting back. Scream gets left alone in the back camps, and Nika finds a double on the fight, a killing spree for the Soul Laner, and they've got a wave to push down this tier 2 tower. Fire Giant on the 4 remaining members, and the tier 2 tower may not be long for this world. Thale comes through, nobody from the Ravens looking to step up for the fight. It'll just be the objective and a back off for the Dragons.
And all that sustain available to the Jade Dragons. So difficult for the Highland Ravens if they don't win cleanly on the initial team fight to stick around. Hurry Wind drops so low. It looks like it's nearly even with Nika, but he's self-healing and getting healing from auto attacks. PBM sharing his sustain as well. The Jade Dragons get a little bit more done towards the tail end of that fire. Knocks down a few towers and left. Grabs a gold brief for their trouble as well. Pushing their gold lead around that 5,000 mark. That's when alarm bells start to ring. You're starting to talk about maybe tier 2 items on each individual member of the Jade Dragons over their opposition. Perhaps you can upgrade some of those relics. Give you a little bit more advantage come team fight time as well. Take a peek at the relics though, Frog. Beads for the majority of the Highland Ravens down. I'm thinking Lasbra has got a few moments here where he could really make a splash on map.
We saw him make a crazy individual play in the mid lane that kept the Dragons in it during the end of last game. And this one might actually find Scream. Look over towards that left-hand side. Second ability down, a 3-level deficit for Scream. Wants to go in, but he misses the Vampire Bats. I don't know, man. I don't know if he wants to smoke here.
And I wouldn't be fighting. I'm surprised Lasbra isn't fighting. Lasbra probably assuming there's at least 1 or 2 more members from the Highland Ravens in the jungle. Why else would the 3-level deficit jungler be trying to run me down here? So backs himself out. Better play for the safety. Especially considering if he falls down here. I mean, Fire Giant spawning up so shortly, you really don't want to be the one to drop the ball. Scream, though, has always been willing to push.
Oh, no. Scream got picked off in game number 1. He's got to find the jump over the wall. Might not be all right. Lasbra might be looking for that chase down if he makes his way through the jungle, but Scream chooses the right pathing, goes towards the shield buff. Everybody looking for the little advantages they can gain, and it's because this next Fire Giant fight, it feels right around the corner. This, I believe, was the time that the Ravens took that free Fire Giant in game number 1. And after the 17-minute Fire Giant that was the Jade Dragons, they just hop right back on it. The Highland Ravens, they're not set up for this. The Fire Giant shreds down, and nobody from the Ravens can step up. It was a 0 gold lead. They used the first Fire Giant to get the second Fire Giant. They still have the advantage.
Yeah, it's the speed of which they get that second Fire Giant that differentiates the Jade Dragons lead from the Highland Ravens in game 1. Much faster on the uptake there. Maybe the Highland Ravens saying, well, they didn't really get a whole lot done on the first fire. Maybe we can withstand 1 more before we have to take a fight in neutral territory. That's not to be the case. Lasbra dropped low. We'll hold on to the Palau, though. Haddix, not a whole lot left in the tank, so no more threat for him. But even in just dropping Lasbra low, he can communicate now that really there's not a whole lot that he could get done on the right-hand side. So it's just the 4 core of the Jade Dragons, but clearly they're up to the task.
Good for him to be able to hold on to that cooldown. The space gets made in the middle lane for them to push down the tier 2 tower, and the Jade Dragons grab yet again an advantage off of this Fire Giant. It's taken them 2 Fire Giants, but they've gotten the left tier 2, they've gotten the right tier 1 and tier 2. It's only that middle tier 2 and these Phoenixes remaining. And that middle tier 2 is where these Titans are going to be marching down. Could be an engagement point for either of these squads trying to follow up their Titans.
Yeah, it's crazy how our vernacular has evolved throughout this set, and we're only on game 2, but usually that's where the next fight's gonna be. Guaranteed on the gold free, we'll see another engagement here. It's, well, maybe these guys will fight. Maybe we'll see an opportunity, and it just speaks volumes to the mindset of both of these teams. Seems to me the Jade Dragons and the Highland Ravens are waiting for significant favored odds before they're willing to all in. And even now, you can see the Jade Dragons 3 stacked in mid, but there's still the 2 hover on the right-hand side. Very split map play. You still are able to make contact with Titan first. They'll drop it down quickly. Anyone from the Han Ravens that decides to rotate through the right-hand side jungle will walk into the wall of damage that is Nika and Lasbra. Maybe the Jade Dragons play this style because they're concerned about Haddix in particular. That global presence allows Thor to play the side of the team fight very well. If you can catch him before he goes up to the air, though, odds of him dunking low, pretty low.
You can catch him early. You can burn his beats at the very least, so he'll lose that relic of safety before this Phoenix seed even starts. Screams return to the base as well. It's a 3-2 split here for the Jade Dragons. They want to find an engage with this Fire Giant. They're looking for the 100%er. They're looking for the guaranteed pick that they can find. And so far, it's just tough to find the Highland Ravens. They're going to be tough to engage into.
It will be the case. No beads on Haddix, but he still has ultimate, so you can't even pal out grab him easily. And beads for everybody else means you're not getting them. You can continue to pepper damage, though, into the Phoenix. So much sustain and kit for the Jade Dragons means that as long as the Highland Ravens aren't all in engaging, 2 auto attacks here, back up, resustain, rinse, repeat. It's a viable line of play.
Damage early on to Scream. These hammers from Haddix have started to really find their value. Late in game number 1, he was doing a ton of guaranteed poke damage off of those walls. This middle Phoenix, just this small bit of in and out poke. Here's the thing, they've got to find an engagement if they want to go. And it's got to be on this next wave, I think. 34 seconds remaining on this power play. And it's 3 in and it's Scream in on the poke. He jumps in, finds both, and it's down to half HP. Still has the ultimate available and looking for the safety. The ultimate could go for Haddix, though, and Villadon needs to find Vote all the way in the back. The Undying Love is there, and the damage, it doesn't reach Vote and Nika. Both survive on 1 HP, but Lasbra is left alone in the back end of the fight, and the Highland Ravens, they're the ones that find the engage and a successful defense.
Lasbra was out, Trickster Spirit's in, maybe trying to get up into that pal out, dies to a bleed before he gets his first chain off. Man, depending on timing here, that could be significant. 30 seconds left on respawn. Fire Giant farther, not even close to respawning. That's not a big deal, but certainly an avoidable death nonetheless. Lazarus, I suppose, willing to take those odds anyway. If I can burn off even 1 set of beads, if I can get a singular pick here, it really does make it that much easier to look at the Fire Giant ourselves. Unfortunately for him, comes up empty. With all that said, it's the Jade Dragon's slipperiness that really stands out to me once more. Polar Bear Mike really lines up that Undying Love properly, holds it to the very last, and immunes out some of that CC from Haddix, keeps his carries alive. The Jade Dragons prove that you need to be ready to kill him twice or thrice before you actually see any of the fruits of your labor. The Highland Ravens, I mean, this is a frustrating composition to play into. The Jade Dragons, they've got great chase down, they've got great disengage, but it's the initiation on both sides that's really struggling.
Fire Giant back up and available, as is Lasbra at this point. And if they want to press the go button, they got to do it soon. Relic's still down for 2 key members of the Highland Ravens in Scream and Venenu. And Vote has his Relics down for another 60 seconds at the very least. Either team could look for the engage here, and it's going to be Herwin picking things up. And it's shredding. Oh my god, it's shredding! Nika, it's down to 50% HP already, and the Oloran ult has come through. They're looking for the steal, and they do not find it. The Highland Ravens destroy the Fire Giants, and they're on the full disengage. I don't know if they have enough chase in this lifetime. The Jade Dragons right under their nose.
And the Jade Dragons were not ready for that sanctified field. You cannot allow Oloran to take the defensive positioning like that. By the time it's down to 50%, if he still has his ultimate available, drops it there, there's no way you can work your way into the pit. And so, the Highland Ravens, like bandits in the night, I mean, it's not even, that's broad, just robbery in daylight.
Broad daylight.
Yeah, something like that. They were stricken. The Fire Giant just goes down much too quickly, and the Jade Dragons unable to chase out, as you said, good walls from Haddix to find that escape path. But between PBM and Nika, maybe the movement speed would have been enough. They could have chased out a little bit further. Now, though, the Highland Ravens have to answer the question that they struggled with here in Game 1, and it's how does our siege look and where do we start to mount it? Game 1, the wall they run into is where do we start it? even just approaching as 5. A tier 2 tower would be a significant improvement. Instead, it's the Primal Fury first, which should just be a pit stop on the way.
Primal Fury will be taken down here, but that's hilarious that they just leave early on it alone. And they do get the back off from Maddox. He's got the teleport if they need to rejoin the fight. But, I mean, I think this is going to be like all of the other times we've seen it. Slow, disciplined, and maybe even questionable. Because so far, man, the Highland Ravens have not had an easy time sieging. Even with this sanctified field, and now they don't even have a ranged mid laner. It's going to be a struggle to try and hit this tier 2 tower. I think luckily for them, looks like the Jade Dragons deciding not to defend this. Highland Ravens try to find something, but now it's just onto the Phoenix.
So Phoenix Siege, with all 5, you gotta burn through a few of these resources. Dazzling Offensive, as well as Lazara's ultimate, the most important. Or perhaps content yourself with the tier 2 tower and the Fury. Back yourselves up, grab a wave in mid, then looking for the tier 2 in mid. No Phoenix attempt here from the Highland Ravens. They want to close up that gold lead the Jade Dragons established before they actually try and knock on the door of the base.
Seven's just farming. He's grabbing the beacon.
Well, that's going to help with structures. That's part of the siege.
Well, he got the oracles.
Yeah, it's vision on map. The wards win wars.
He's just vibing. Only a minute 30 left in this Fire Giant.
It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time. I don't know if it's enough time to grab a Phoenix, but certainly they'll keep grabbing tier 2s. If the Jade Dragons let him invoke, they might grab him if he's not careful. He's not near his Aphrodite. Did not have access to that additional safety. Would have liked to see Scream maybe keep going for that one, but would have been close. At the very least, you forced the ADC off. You grab 2 tier 2 towers with the Fire Giant, and now 3 Fire Giants in a row. No contestation, stolen away in the night, completely deleted. Almost could say that no fights have happened around the Fire Giant, which is a crazy thing to say considering 3 Fire Giants have happened. And now we're in EFG territory.
Yeah, and hence Fire Giant, certainly a massive shifting point here in the power struggle between these two teams. You know, the Jade Dragons, they're really reminding me of the PK playstyle, the Renegades playstyle of, okay, you can have some advantage on map, sure, but you have to absolutely earn it, and I'm not going to give you a free pick on a tier 2. You have to walk into my Phoenix. And it seems even just that discipline, I suppose is the best way to word it, has dissuaded the Highland Ravens from being interested in pushing their advantage. 3,000 gold, 32 minutes in is nothing. Paltry sums. Experience stopped mattering a whole long time ago as well. So it's just about itemization. Most people 6-slotted truly. Just a few recipes left for the supports. Relic's already upgraded for the most part as well. We're getting to it. I think I said this at the 33-minute mark exactly in game 1 as well, but we're getting to elixirs, power potions being the primary differentiators here. Both magical hunters hold on to their own power potions, so slight power spikes to be had, but differentiation in build. Vote a little bit more so itemized towards defense, Breastplate of Valor, what we'd seen from Zatman in game 1. Whereas Zatman here in game 2 said, look, I've really not been under a whole lot of threat. I'm only died the once. For the most part, I'm self-sufficient in the back line, so a little bit more lifesteal, a little bit more attack speed, that'll do me just fine. I'm not exactly worried about Lazar's ability to just jump on me. So, a little bit more damage from the Z-Man here. We might see that on the Fire Giant, spawning quickly. And it is so important, if the Jade Dragons want to contest this, that they need to be in the pit before that Fire Giant's dropped to 50%. Because if Zatman still has Sanctified Field by that point, it really is just essentially the no-play zone, objective secure.
Both teams capable of the shred here, and both teams have proven that at this point. Zatman pops a 500 pot. They're starting to take up the Fire Giant, but positioning here, they've got to make sure that they get in. Ring of Fire gets popped. Doesn't look like it's going to be the committal, but when they're still on it, they've got to call the bluff. Jade Dragons step in, PBM. Just puts a little bit of pressure on. Highland Ravens forced to walk away, but they pull it back. And into the air goes Haddix, Anvil Adon. It's a coin flip, and the Dragons secure the Fire Giant. But the chase afterward is a different story. Scream trying to find the damage, but a turnaround, and they trade 1-for-1.
Good.
And the wall is beautiful from Haddix. They find one more in PBM. He might just be next. A double kill for PBM as Nika! He turns around and finds a double of his own. A 3 for 4, a crazy amount of bloodshed, all in one foul swoop, and it'll be a split push for Scream. He uses the pressure to grab the Phoenix in mid. They grab EFG, but at what cost?
Cost them their bird. EFG maintained on Nika. I mean, he's going to be really difficult to deal with, but he's not going to get a whole lot done on Siege, even on respawn with his team. If Nika could miraculously knock down one here, desync the deaths from the Highland Ravens, would create an opportunity for the Jade Dragons to push forward. Otherwise, I think it's clear who the major winner on that trade is, and it's the Ravens having broken the base now. Mid Phoenix down for a good long while. Dash Pot. They don't have the damage to kill Nika.
I don't know if Nika has the damage to kill them, but they're certainly going to try and commit for it. No ultimate available. This would be danger if he loses EFG off of himself, but does manage to hold on to his life. Will burn the ultimate Addicts in the meantime as the Oni Fury will drop and go the way of the Highland Ravens. And my question now, if you're the Jade Dragons, if you get, sure, you get the EFG onto one, you have a crazy fight, crazy amounts of bloodshed there in that fight for such the slow game that we've seen up until this point. I mean, what is the onus still on you? Do you still feel like you're in control of this game, or is it just another waiting game until the next EFG?
I mean, the Highland Ravens base defense is just strong by nature of having Olderun, and might be just strong enough considering the EFG does only land on the Soul Inner. But if I'm the Jade Dragons, I'm thinking, well, awesome. They don't have Fire Giant. We got it on one. We're definitely getting our Phoenix back over the next few minutes. Just hang out, slow it down, grab some beacons, Pyromancer spawns, I'll see you there. Grab your jungle camps, but as far as an actual siege attempt, I don't see the Jade Dragons going for one just yet. Just extends the game a little bit longer, buys time for this next round of fire.
All right, I've got a real tough question for you.
Okay.
You ready? Because we've just been watching him dance endlessly, try and play the macro game. Nobody wants a full-on fight.
Well,
I won't even get to ask it, because Scream, what a gank here, right onto PBM, and Anvilodon channel looking for the Aphrodite, and off the mark, but the wall is on the mark, and they trap him into the corridor, and Venenu finds to support the fight. It's on them. Batman is low. Nika finds the trade, 1-for-1, 2-for-1, and make it a 2-for-2 as the kills continue to fly. Addicts may be the next one on the menu if they want to chase down the Soul Laner, but Nika, he's healing through it, and they find the kill onto Whirlwind. This time the Dragons up one in the trade.
3-for-2 here. Haddix and Scream still alive for defense. Means that if the Jade Dragons want to get anything done, they're going to have to work through the heavy damage of Scream and the CC lockdown of Haddix. I think instead it's just, all right, we got the fight done. There's not a whole lot either of us can do now. So as far as actual knock-on effects for game state, unless the Jade Dragons can actually knock down this bird, that team fight didn't have a whole lot of bearing on the rest of this match. Gold individual targets, but this late in the game, we already talked about gold and how you can only buy so many items in Smite.
This would be tough to do.
I don't think they have it. I mean, Boat's not good at knocking down structures.
They've got
the bomb.
They've got the bomb. Oh my! They do it, and with almost no contestion from the Ravens, and that's relevant timing as well. That Phoenix will be down when this next enhanced Fire Giant spawns.
It's as good as it gets.
And the Jade Dragons Phoenix will be up in the mid lane. Now, a mid Phoenix, not the worst one to go down, that's for sure. I want to get back to my question though, right? Because this is it is how do you cleanly win a fight? Because neither of there are 10 pro players on the map, and nobody's been able to answer that question for 2 games. For 90 minutes, nobody's been able to answer that question. What is the difference maker? How do you win a clean fight around this effect?
Cool. Well, considering there are 10 MMR capped players here, and only people of high elo gold 5 or higher should really be, even sharing an opinion. I wouldn't want to squander the goodwill of the community.
Those are the Twitch chat rules.
Yeah, those are the Twitch chat rules. Fortunately, I'm on the microphone though. How do you win a team fight cleanly? You kill the enemies and you don't die. That's immediately what jumps to my mind. You're never exactly in a position where it's that simple. It's more so, what are the pieces that you can line up to perhaps create a world where that is a possibility? And I think a lot of that onus does lie with the assassin core of the Highland Ravens.
The gold is even.
Scream and Ven, I think, really do need to get involved in that back line. Dardes has, for the most part, survived a good long while in these engagements, so jumping on him first would be a great start. Or even potentially, and I think this is a playstyle that is uniquely available to the Jade Dragons in this matchup based off composition, straight up kill the front line. Hurrywind is not tanky if Vote and Dardes are both hitting him. A pull from Lasbra onto a tanky target, even if you get Haddix after he initiates, would immediately cost him his life thanks to the defense shred of AMC and the HP shred that is hard baked into Freya's kit. But as far as how do you do it, I mean, the best players in the world right now are 10 of them. They can't figure it out either.
Yeah, they're matched in gold. They're matched in kills. They're not matched in runic bombs. Highland Ravens, they've got the advantage of that in their inventory if they're looking for a coin flip. And we've had a couple of coin flips. The last two Fire Giants, I feel like, have been pretty much coin flips. I'm surprised that we haven't seen a steal come through, but this might be the engagement. 4 surrounding Lasbra, and the team has to get to him if they want to have him survive. Undying Love comes through, and it's just enough. He lives, and how? But they flip Dardes. He's alone on the right-hand side, and where is Haddix? He's not even in the air. He comes through the back. And they try to fight back a 1-for-1. Thus far, the mids fall, and the Ola Renault comes out. Caught on the other side of the fight is Polar Bear Mike, but the wall has the carries trapped in. And Vote and Nika are looking to finish it off. Beautiful relics there from Vote, but it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of the Ravens.
The Ravens have a little bit of sustain to play with. Zapman can get Hurrywind back at fighting strength, but I think the base, the fastest way to do it. 40 seconds, the grayscale should just go ahead and indicate which way this Fire Giant's going to go. But Nika, I mean, he's healthy, he's nearby. Has to buy time, he has to buy a lot of time. The Hound Ravens haven't pulled the Fire Giant just yet.
30 seconds still on Dardes before he comes back to the land of the living. They've got to wait for Hurrywind to come before they start to tank this up. Even if they try to pull it, this would be close on the grayscale members respawning.
When Ravens, considering their opportunities, considering their options, will pull the Fire Giant. It's burning quickly. He's got to play safe. His allies are far.
Shredding, he's going in. He's on to Zatman. He's the damage dealer, and he stops the damage being dealt. Goes from the Fire Giant, goes on to him, but Scream! He's forced into the ultimate, and Lasbra finds Zatman. It's the Jade Dragons with the engage. They find 2, but a turnaround in Haddix stops it in its tracks. Another trade comes through, this time the Dragons in favor.
If I've learned anything from this set, Frog, it's whoever pulls the objective loses the fight. That has just been a utmost truth between these two teams, be it Gold Fury, Pyro, or Fire. Feels like pulling the objective only seals your fate, and this time it's the Highland Ravens with 2 in the grayscale, thinking about their mistakes. Nika does so much there, just jumping onto Zatman, surviving as long as he does. The CC from Hurrywind, not exactly timed well. And so Nika finds the full value. And the Jade Dragons learn from the mistakes of the past. They say, look, we could go Fire, why would we?
We don't want the stalemate, we'll just push down mid lane, and it might just be the
Dardes?
Phoenix, but Dardes gets taken down for free.
Like that?
Scream doesn't lose anything for that. They take down the mid-bird, but this still has the colors of a Highland Ravens fight. And Haddix is in on the ultimate. It's huge double stun, and Vote has no relics. Vote has no relics. They've got to turn things around if they want the damage. But Scream, he's forced to escape into the jungle. And they tap this. Oh my god.
Sure, okay. Man, Soul Eater is good. That's a very good item. How much did he just heal for?
Dude, how much health does he have, man? He's got to have like 2,500 health or something.
That was 70% of his HP bar. At the end of the day, is that the most interesting that happened? No, it's 2,200. It's him just dominating Dardes from the edge of the fight. I believe it's Screech plus Vampiric Bats, and that's it that cost him his life. Highland Ravens right back to the scene of the crime. Fire Giant pulled out. Jade Dragons, I mean, they're here in numbers, but it's going to be a while on Dardes.
They're still on, and it's only Zatman hitting it. And he hops off the Fire Giant, perhaps to help out Scream, but he will not be in time. Nika goes down in trade, and Lasbra, he's into the parallel, looking for the damage. Then he turns it around, and Vote finds the trade. A 2 for 2 thus far in the fight, but trapped in the sanctified field, Vote has nowhere to go, and is not long for this world. Another close trade, a 2 for 3. Highland Ravens, they're gonna hop back on the Fire Giant.
This time, surely the Highland Ravens can knock down the fire. Even potentially could look for more. I mean, these death timers are incredibly long. Fortunately for the Jade Dragon, this seems to take a good long while to actually knock down the Fire Giant as well. Even if the Ravens wanted to start their siege immediately, we've got fire mini waves starting to work their way into base.
Wouldn't it be cool to see some of this stuff? Wouldn't it be crazy?
Are you rooting for the Drags?
Wouldn't it be crazy if this was okay? The Highland they didn't get there in time. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm rooting for good Smite, and that we've had so many coin flips this game, man. And it's always the team that pulls it that gets the Fire Giant, and props off to them. The Skier's coming through. Highland Ravens, they find themselves in the hands of another EFG. Is this the second Titan push this game?
I believe so.
Woo!
We're at that 45-minute mark. The second Titan push of the SPL so far this year at 2.
Oh.
Jade Dragons will knock down the Titan of the Highland Ravens. So now the Highland Ravens actually do need to interact with those fire mini waves moving down the center of the map. Won't be too difficult for them. EFG on 3, but ADC's got 1. So the Highland Ravens have potential to look towards the siege. Haven't approached a bird properly just yet. In a 5-on-5, it'd be difficult to do, but the win condition on Highland Ravens is just put Zapman in a position where he can completely encompass the Phoenix range with Sanctified Fields. If that's the case, the Highland Ravens should have a simplified engagement afterward. But the Ravens, take it slow here, as they are apt to do. Knock down the Titan, make sure nobody's hovering the jungle nearby. Go ahead, maybe move towards mid, knock down that fire minion wave. We're spinning our wheels.
Mike has 39 wards placed. That's a lot of vision. I screamed woo. I thought that was the first time that we've seen the double Titans push. I'm still pretty excited.
I think the last one was also in a Jade Dragon set. Their games tend to go long.
They have found their meta, and they are certainly sticking to it. And right now that meta is maybe set up in ambush. Up in the jungle, the Jade Dragons are looking for somebody out of position.
Full team back? Scared of the split push?
Full team back. Full team back. Did somebody walk over a ward? Is there?
I think they brushed that ward right there in the jungle. The Jade Dragons did. The Highland Ravens prepared for it. But even then, you would almost think that trading out Phoenixes might be valuable enough. If you send one back and it's a tanky target, maybe Haddix, prevent those backs could open the possibility to perhaps just closing out the game there. Instead, they make the decision of, okay, well, our left side bird is worth way more than their right side bird. It's so easy to contend fireman waves on the right side of the map when you're contesting Fire Giant as opposed to the left. So, split-second decision. Go ahead and reset themselves, and instead start to push down the center of the map. Minion waves pushed up pretty significantly by the Jade Dragons on both side lanes means it's going to be a while before there's actual split potential. Meaning that really the only thing the Highland Ravens can do, I think, is group up as 5 if they want to keep the pressure up.
Don't necessarily need those minions with the EFG. That'll take some of the backdoor protection away. You want to push these Phoenixes, but only for another 60 seconds do they have this power spike.
And only on 3.
And look at Lasbra. Lasbra is around the backside of this mid lane engagement. So if they go in, he's going to be trying to dive. He already does it. He doesn't wait for the go button and instead goes on to zap. Burns both relics and the ultimate out of Heroin. And the ultimate out of Haddix as well. No Phoenixes fall. And almost every ultimate on both sides, half of them in the game, get dropped.
But it's a reinitiation potentially here from the Highland Ravens. You still have Ven's ultimate, so there's ability to dive. Haddix considering it, but takes 3 auto attacks from Vote and says, wow, you hit me really hard. Backs himself up as well. Should spell the end of the Fire Giant power play. Only things you can do now is spend time on map, making it as easy as possible to grab the next one. Primal Fury be a good place to put some of that pressure, but Zapman's positioning has indicated to me that the Highland Ravens, if they do it, it would take them a while. Jade Dragon's not the bird's eye view. even this would be an opportunity to try and take an advantage team fight. The Highland Ravens, every single time they've gotten the Fire Giant, these split pushes, 3-2, 3-1-1, hasn't quite panned out. Even there, 4-1 with Zapman on the right-hand side. I mean, it's dangerous plays.
Dangerous plays indeed. But we are back at it again, folks. 49, soon to be 50 minutes into this game. Gold lead off the books. Who cares? Experience lead.
You know who
Everybody's
cares?
level 20.
Blues Ultra cares, I guarantee it. He's watching right now. He's pulling up the graphs. I know for a fact.
Blues Ultra, committed member of the community. He has to go through all 50 minutes of this game.
That's right. And he's going to make a heat map of where they stood. It's everywhere, by the way.
Yep, everywhere at this point. Mostly cautiously around the Fire Giant, though. And that's maybe where we're geared up towards for once again.
Don't pull it first. You will lose the fight. That is 100% a truth of the universe. And so, I think this is maybe the first time this game where we're going to get the dance of, okay, who's pulling it? We're going to get the staring contest, the tried and true one.
Who do you want to pull it? And who?
Neither. It doesn't work.
But if you do it, is there a right way to pull it? Is there like...
After getting kills, it would seem. I mean, if one team's got an advantage on pool, it's what we saw earlier from the Ravens, where Zapman could just drop Sanctified Field and prevent the Jade Dragons from contesting properly. But even then, that is contingent on the Jade Dragons making the mistake of allowing the Ravens to do significant damage to the fire before they get there. The win con of the Highland Ravens is to have Fire Giant sub 50% and still have Sanctified Fields available. Whereas the Jade Dragons, I'm sure their win con in mind is get into the Fire Giant pit before it's below 50%. At no point is it we're the ones pulling it unless they find a pick first. Opportunities on map, if you're confident in your jungler's ability to 1v1, is to have the jungler play the center of the map. Maybe have Lasbra and Scream line up against each other. If that's the case, both have got significant sustain and burst potential, so very risky there. And it's even more difficult for Lasbra to be that one because he's so important in the team fight as far as CC is concerned. He's burning the majority of the beads. He's making use of the burnt beads as well. Whereas Scream, being Camazot's, what he brings to the team fight is damage. You can get damage anywhere.
Well, this game keeps up at its current pace. We could be up for a third Titan push. That would certainly be interesting. I'm sure. What's
the timer on that? Is that like a 70-minute minimum?
Oh, I actually don't know how. What's the beacon respawn timer? It's like 6 minutes or 6 or 8 minutes.
Longer than that.
Something like that. They just pulled the first beacon though, of the third set of beacons, which is certainly as far as I've ever seen in my games. Neither of these teams, though, both of them, would like to close it out before that, and they're certainly looking at the staring contest. To pull this Fire Giant says we are ready to fight, we are ready to coin flip, and also win a fight afterwards. And neither team has been able to do that thus far. The damage is in on the mic.
Good pokes.
Maybe looking for the poke. He's up into the air, but Lasbra, look on the other side of the fight. Satman is so low, and Vote is diving with his jungler. Nika finds Venenu as well. Dardes falls in trade, but Haro is low, and Scream finds Polar Bear Mike. A 2 for 2 thus far. The damage is good on the Haddocks, and a 3 for 2 into the pockets of the Jade Dragons. High health bars for the remaining members as well.
Jade Dragons. What's the call? Is it back up to Fire Giant? They've got the damage and sustain to do it. Or is it keep up the siege? No Runic Bomb in pocket means that it'll be a little bit more difficult, but with Scream not having ultimate or relics, any bit of CC that connects with him could spell his demise. Even just a banish might be enough to kill this Camazotz. Instead, Fire Giant. Easiest way to make the Highland Ravens fight you is to generate threat on map, and what's more threatening than an EFG? Jade Dragons pulling it out. The Highland Ravens step up to plate. Looks like they might be willing.
Fast, even with only 3 members. It's down to 10%. Got to be a coin flip if they want to steal. And the banish is beautiful to prevent it from Scream. The jump away prevents the follow through onto Lasbra. And the Jade Dragons, that's how they drew it up. They didn't want to pull. They wanted to fight beforehand. And they find a beneficial trade and grab the EFG.
These team fights, Frog, they're just so split up. It's a tale of 2 games, really. It's the backline of the Highland Ravens desperately trying to survive, while the front line's having a phenomenal time diving. And the same is true of the Jade Dragons. Back line, trying their best, front line, having a great time, until eventually one side gets a slight advantage. They're able to fold back in on themselves. As the Jade Dragons believe in that situation. All that self-sustain from Vode, Nika as well, just been so healthy throughout the entirety of these team fights. Into that Death Embrace keeps him a massive threat in the engagement. Nika's having himself a phenomenal game, by the way. I do not want that to go under the radar. 8-1 and 10 on the Amaterasu, initiating the fights first in, last out, every single time. But can they siege? That's been the question. It's been the question for 30 minutes, just about now. Grouping up as 5 hasn't worked out. Still no runic bombs in pocket. It seems to me they're unwilling to go for the 4-1 split too. I mean, if you can catch anyone straggling in the jungle or poke out Haddix before the fight, or force them to use the Anvil of Dawn defensively, opportunities for the Jade Dragons. But they're always going to butt their head into the weakness of Freya. So good in the PvP, not exactly great on structures.
We've seen the Jade Dragons find picks around the Fire Giant. Well, they're looking for one now around either of these birds. Anybody being taken down, any man advantage, any regular advantage that they can get in these Phoenix fights could be the difference maker in how this game ends. And in 55 minutes, nobody wants to make the first move.
No. I mean, if EFG were on Dardas, it's a completely different story. If you could just have Dardas hit a Phoenix 2 or 3 times and not have to worry about backdoor protections, great. That's how you knock down the bird. But because it's not on him, you really need to find the fight first. I think if anything, you just have to get a little bit more haphazard with your cooldowns. It would open the door to counterplay, but you gotta burn the beads.
A little bit of an engage. Both poke down to 75%. The 3-2 split here, neither PBM or Dardas have that EFG. So when they step in and try and get some poke on this mid Phoenix, they are not removing those backdoor protections. This pairing might be something. Oh my goodness! Lasbra dives over the wall and forces Ven back to face a TKO to be sure. And Scream, he has to find his way in as the Sanctified Field.
Yikes.
That's the go button for the Highland Ravens. And they have lost 4 out of 5 ultimates here for nothing.
And that Sanctified Field was not good from Zapman. Makes contact with Nika for half a second, and that's just about it, the full value of it. So the Jade Dragons feel themselves back up, still strong, and still have a lot of relics in play too. Good amount of beads available to them means that maybe if the Highland Ravens think that they had burnt a little bit more, considering their own cooldown usage, could find themselves in a tough position. Won't come up though. Won't come up. I mean, mid Phoenix knocked down, sure, but that's a low value Phoenix, and it's not the first time it's gone down this game. Is that it? Is that all the Jade Dragons have got for this EFG?
Wow.
Seems to be the case. And we begin the dance anew.
We begin the dance again. Beacon up one more time. This will be the second out of third beacon, so we need for that third Titan push. I'm just really committed.
It would be the first one?
I would.
You could set some history.
Yep, I would love to see it. I will say, I love that fight out of Lasbra specifically. So Lasbra just waits for the perfect opportunity. I don't know if they have a ward, or if they had a ward in that spot, or if it was just a blind dive onto Venenu, but he TKOs Venenu before the fight even starts.
Getting Venenu out of there removes so much of that dive potential, so I think Lasbra certainly right to do so, but also pulls Hurrywin back in, prevents him from getting involved with the peel and defense shred. A lot of value from that pal now. Lasbra certainly has to do a lot to find that clean win. Fire Giant spawning soon. Highland Ravens showing presence. Who's going to be on wave defense? Probably just has to be Haddix. Maybe you can have Scream there too, but I think Haddix with that global presence has an easier time getting in towards the Fire Giant pit. Hurrywin's playing with fire. Lasbra spots him and assumes there's probably a few more nearby. Backs himself out. Maybe if the Highland Ravens can't do FG, you could certainly knock down a tier 2 tower without it. It could be a place to just present options to the Jade Dragons to make mistakes. Haddix up to the air. He's not dunking this in 100 years.
That's a big ultimate there. Forced down for the Jade Dragons, though. And that might be the go button on a forced fight here. Nika leading the way. He's trying to find the dash. What's happening with Jade Dragons? Listen in as they look for the chase. It's the curse of the listen-in that starts the fight going for the Highland Ravens. They take down 2, but I'm not sure that that's enough. Haddix on the Envelodon, just barely out of range, but they're looking to find any breadcrumbs that they can on this disengage. But the sustain, the healing coming through from Polar Bear Mike. They take 2. I still don't know if it's enough of an opening.
No, it absolutely is. Fire Giant just goes down here. The Jade Dragons will not be walking to the right side jungle. I wonder, though, considering how much the Highland Ravens have struggled on Siege, even with Fire Giant. I mean, this will be the first time with EFG on all 5. Maybe it would have been better to usage of time to just go ahead and knock down the Phoenix, then back up towards it. 20 seconds left on Lazarus respawn. Scream back to base. Changes his mind. He's going to stick around. Ravens, they might be able to take advantage here. 20 seconds on vote. It's the best look they've had.
Doesn't look like the Dragons want to contest this, so it will just be a free Phoenix and a back off from the Highland Ravens. They had a 4-1, thought they might try and use Scream over on that right-hand side, but he'll make it back to base as well. Look at that ping up the map. I think that's Mike trying to ping the positioning here through the map and see if they can maybe get advantageous set of positions here off. But the enemy team, this is the first time they have EFG for another 3 minutes. The time is right for a full team
full
back.
Team back. And look at it, like synchronized swimmers. That's graceful. It really is. Look, there are 10 players in this lobby. I don't think a single person on the planet would have the mental illness to call any of these people panic enders. Like, you really just can't do it. At this point, though, and maybe it's me and I'm the panic ender, a 2-man pick for free, like 5 versus 3, I'm running down the Titan before I even look at a Fire Giant. I really think that's the most significant and best odds either of these teams have looked at for anything to happen so far this game. Instead, it's the Highland Ravens now with an EFG on 5 and 1 Phoenix on the left-hand side to knock down. Phoenix and mid already dealt with, so enhanced mini waves will simplify their fight. It's now 5-1 split. I'm going to count the fire minion wave as a whole player here. The Jade Dragon's going to have to dedicate someone's time to dealing with it.
Vesper's a little bit late to this, but we'll make it back towards the left-hand side. We gotta focus on the fire minions in mid as this left Phoenix falls without any contestant. Nobody, no ultimates, no relics get burned. It is only the Phoenix falling for the Highland Ravens, or for the Jade Dragons rather. Highland Ravens, they take it down and still hesitant to find a full fight, but this is now the best position to put them in. Finally, somebody has found that value Phoenix on the left-hand side. And they just have to wait a bit. These fire minions are going to be pushing.
The value of the left Phoenix is its ability to get you more Fire Giants. I mean, sure, that's nice. I think the Highland Ravens would really like the game to end sooner than later. You don't want this to reset to another Fire Giant. There is still so much more time on this power play. This is the best the map state has looked for them. You're not getting any stronger from here. So, it's now or never, I think. Giving the Jade Dragons any more time from this position just allows them to right the ship, so to speak. Get some of that map state disadvantage, get rid of it. Instead, now it's the Highland Ravens once more. Looking for poke, prodding here or there. I don't even think the Jade Dragons will really defend this right side Phoenix. There's not really a whole lot of reason to do it.
Sanctified Field drop, and no Dragons members even in the vicinity. I think once Zap heard that they weren't ever planning for the end, he was just like, okay, well, you know, we might as well guarantee this last Phoenix drop the Sanctified Field. 63 minutes. And the
get that Stygian beacon, get it.
The Stygian beacon, Scream walking away. Nobody wants that third Titan, because at this point,
it would be worse for the Ravens to get it.
Right. Like, the Ravens don't want that Titan to be out of base when they finally get the next 2 for 0, the next 3 for 0, because it makes it that much harder to end the game. The Jade Dragons, they might want it. Like, that might be a legitimately strategic play.
Nika, go cap it. We're losing the fight. Like, just go get on top of it. I mean, yes, it would be the first time we've seen that. It's super hard to predict the timing on it, but would be an awesome interaction. Oh, man. The Jade Dragons from this position, I don't think they leave base ever.
Yeah.
They're not going to defend the Fire Giant, and why would they?
Yep.
So, I mean, this could be it. Lasbra, have you got too far?
Oh,
You have!
no.
Just walks into the jungle. Haddix catches them. There it is. There's your opportunity.
There's the opening, and Haddix didn't even use the ultimate for it. He's got that cooked up and served on a silver platter for the dive. But Vote gets out of there in time, and the mid Phoenix
Z-Man's so far.
They don't have Zatman here. They don't have the Fire Giant. Certainly a little bit weaker, but the man advantage means a lot, and it could mean more picks if they play it to their advantage. Nika making some space in the front. They've got this minion wave pushing though. This Phoenix will fall for free. Nika has the damage coming through, but he's gonna be fine. He gets to dash away, and it's still the Highland Ravens have to find the go button.
They could walk in. Zatman's got Sanctified Field, and he's got it on the Titan.
This might be it. All the damage onto the Titan, and everything. The focus is enough. And at 65 minutes, the Highland Ravens even the set.
Now equalized. We're in a best of 3, best of 5 simplified in the 1-to-1, and it's the Highland Ravens who threw a massive war of attrition, worked through every single structure on the map, perhaps twice each, and then finally find their win condition of put Sanctified Field on the Titan.